It's tabletop time, I'm Jazza, and I'm painting my half of the Dominion box before Dave. He started before me, but he's carefully crafting and painting and expanding his Stormcast Eternals army with the new models from the Dominion box. The great thing about Orcs, which I think is suiting me pretty well, is they're extra sneaky. So I've been extra sneaky and I brought a friend to help me along. Say hello to Murray, he's going to be helping me out. So we're painting the Orc half of the box today. We don't even have a full day, so we're going to blitz this, and it should be really fun because, like I mentioned, Dave is painting the Stormcast half of the box and is taking a lot of time and putting a really well-crafted video together. We thought it'd be fun to juxtapose that with our crazy project today. We've double what Dave has to paint and less than a quarter of the time.
That's right, 39, the big guy only counts as one.
There's two. We actually pre-prepared some random color mixes. We just want to get some color mix and gradient underneath in our zenithal, our base layer, slap a color on top and just sort of see what it looks like. We can do it in patches. We can just do patches of contrast and see what we like. So let's just slap some of this down. I mean, to be honest, straight away, that's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh. What are you thinking in terms of like armor and straps and stuff?
Here's one I prepared earlier.
When did you do this?
Last night.
So you sped paint this. You're like, how fast can I paint an orc?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's just a nice dirty brown, stippled on the metal, slapped some gun metal in the same way, and then just null oil over the top to see how it looked.
I like that.
The messier it looks, the better.
That's true, yeah, absolutely. So can you spray paint with contrast paint?
Yes.
Let's do it. So we took it from the start and we applied our primer, the one that we ended up liking with our random test, which was layering from black through white, passing through like a blue, purple, and a light yellow on the way. And that actually built up these really cool mixes of colors with a bit of like a purpley blue shadow. I think it turned out really cool, especially with contrast painted on the top. But we needed to figure out the right balance of all of that. So while Murray went and undercoated all of the models, I started by doing a little bit of the contrast airbrushing just on two of the models. So I used contrast Plague Bearer Flesh as pretty much the base for all of the orcs, but I laid it down a little lighter on all the little guys and laid down a little bit of the Yandin yellow on top of that to go for a little bit more of a greeny yellow vibe. So I did a little test spray with the little guy first and then one of the big guys, but this time using the Orc Flesh contrast color to add a little bit more of a blue-green tint, and with that blue-purple undertone, it ended up giving the whole orc a little bit more of a stronger green sort of look.
It looked darker and more mature, which contrasted really nicely with the sort of more acid, dirty yellow of the smaller goblins.
So you took those two models and did a test paint. Did a bit of mucking around with colors. We have a lot of colors to choose from, which is fantastic. And in the end, we went with a mix of sort of warm tones, red straps that inspired by your little test paint that you did last night.
Smaller touches of color to sort of contrast and bounce off the skin tones, and the rest were a bit more desaturated so they wouldn't detract from the rest of the model.
Now the key to this whole experiment was workflow, figuring out what one person was doing while the other person was doing something else. So while you were painting your test models, I was spray painting all of the models with that contrast mix, which I think we thought worked pretty well so far. That yellowy green mix for all the little guys and the more bluey green, more dark rich green for all the Orruks. And with his two test painted minis ready to go, I'm going to slap on some streaking grime. Now, it's interesting to note that before we apply the streaking grime, they look a little sort of segmented in their coloring because we picked pretty contrasting colors and we didn't really create any blends or transitions, but that's where the magic of the streaking grime kicks in. Alrighty, Murray has never used streaking grime before. It's one of my favorite cheats, and with the swamp orcs, I mean, come on, streaking grime. They look a lot more muddy than they did before, which is great. Like I said, swamp. And we're going to start off broad,
right,
with these woolly dobbers. We're going to use this stuff, white spirits. Just dip your woolly dobber and then sort of wick some off, and then you start off broad. And you just give it little taps, and it's going to run the streaking grime into the crevices. You'll see the colours start coming out. Oh, this is fun. And with that roughly done, I switch over to these Q-tips. So then with a Q-tip, you'll see there's like sort of more patchy areas. You just open up to show the skin, bring that face in, and you can see bits of colour punching through now, but it's only where you want it. Mixed in with that sort of rust dabbing that you did in there. It's really starting to feel like we've got these swampy orcs. So that is the streaking grime cheat. How different does that look from a second ago? Like, totally adds a lot of like gritty texture and depth. So fun.
It brings it all together as well.
Yeah, like that almost looks like a finished model, and we've got a good thing going.
Dave's in trouble.
Yeah, he is. With our test models of the 2 types of orcs done, we leapt into full production mode. Murray, batch painting hell began.
Oh, it was a slog.
It's a tedious process, but you took it like a champ and you paint fast, man. It's very impressive.
We had to get it done and show Dave up, so there was no option.
While Murray was in batch painting mode, I switched over to the main guy, the big guy, mainly because I thought that he could use a little extra attention, even though we're batch painting all this stuff. And I was going to just apply it with the brush, but I couldn't resist because the airbrush was out and I was having fun and it had been a while. So I started off just by airbrushing the skin and fur areas of both the orc and the creature, starting off with sort of oranges and purples of this creature thing. What's it called? The Killer Boss.
He's one good boy.
It's an original name. Killer Boss.
They're descriptive if not original.
So with the base flesh and fur tones down, I used the same sort of colour schemes that we'd mixed up for all the other orcs to rough out and block out the areas throughout the Killer Boss. Now, keeping in mind this is a pretty rough application, and that's okay, because again, I am going to lean so hard on the streak and grime, you have no idea. But with that said, like, I think we should be able to come back and add some highlights later and really make it pop. So even though we're using lots of cheats, you can paint an army really fast and use a lot of little tricks and techniques to just make it really actually look more like an aesthetic choice rather than a rush.
So I've come in on my day off just to show Jeremy some things for the edit for how I want my paint to come along. I'm about halfway through it, and I thought I'd check in on how Jazzer is doing with his orcs. He doesn't know I'm coming. This is gonna be a bit of a surprise. I'm gonna bloody see what he's up to. What? Wait.
It's not what it looks like.
Why did he get to it? Whoa. This is
He's here to repair the
Repair the paintbrush. It's working.
Name one thing that looks like cheating.
Well, one, you seem to have split into 2 people.
We have twice as many figures as you. You gonna get fussy about that?
Mine are twice as detailed.
Well, so after Murray finished batch painting his first half of the orcs, sorry buddy, there's another half to go, so
what?
Good luck! So with the big dude done and with the batch painted orcs coming along well, it was time to leap into full streaking grime mode. And this is where it started to really fight dirty, which entailed me pummeling all of the orcs that we had painted so far with the streaking grime. And time was getting pretty bloody tight, so I cheated more, of course. I mean, we're orcs. Jeremy and Rob came in. We had a team of 4 and made a chain of progress. With all of our sleeves rolled up and all of us working on little different things on our whole orc army that we could all work on, we were determined to get these done. All right, we're in the last leg. Bit of an update. I am working on tufting bases at a rapid rate. When I finish tufting a base, I bring it over to Jeremy. Jeremy is applying mud to bases. Give me one of your finished ones. Oh, don't drop it! And even a little bit of ground covering, sprinkling on some of that sort of wood chip look, so that the end look looks pretty swampy, which is pretty cool. Meanwhile, Murray is finishing off some of our more heroic, grimy characters. We've got our 3 crossbow people, and I think we only have one last quick paint job to go. And over here, Rob is helping me cut tufts, because
it's thrilling work, but someone's got to do it.
It is a necessary evil, just like we orcs are. So yeah, that final process involved, after the streaking grime, of course, putting in some tufts just to bring the bases to life. At the end of the day, I am a genuine believer that tufts and details in the base make as much difference to a mini as a well-painted mini. And it's also so easy and so fun to do. So with a little bit of attention to detail there, slapping in some mud and a little bit of like battle-ready base mix texture for sort of ground covering, mix of wet and dry, these babies would be ready to just add a black trim and call done. We did it! We beat Dave! And we haven't even had the match yet. I feel like we deserve a pat on the back. You pat mine, I'll pat yours. Thank you, Murray, for helping us out. Orcs may be rough, but at least they work together.
I'm amazed how good they look.
Me too. I love this. I love the models. I'm keen to expand my army. I'm not going to put any effort in any minis from now on. They're good as that. No, I'm just kidding. It is really fun to just have slammed this out with the focus being finishing ASAP, but also just using the right little tricks and cheats to make it as good as it can be and having a little help to make that happen. This is so cool. I'm so proud of it. I can't wait to thrash Dave on the battlefield. Make sure to get the hype going for the Orc army and subscribe and like for future Sigmar content. Join us for our battle report, and of course Dave's video is coming out very soon. Thank you for joining me, Murray.
Thanks for having me.
That is it for now. It's time to finish off with an Orc at ending. Go for it.